Glad to see you all here at Feigin Live, Saturday, 21 p.m. Moscow time, and we're doing a daily cast with Olexiy. Nice to see you. Likewise, we have about 40,000 people watching us live. I have a big request. Please share this cast with your friends and relatives and anybody you know on your social media so people know the actual situation in Ukraine. Let's call it day 31. It is basically a last day of the month, although it's the last day of the calendar in a month, but frankly, it's been a full month after the initiation of war, and we are not sure if we'll call it 32nd day of war, 33rd. Perhaps we can still keep counting the days, because Azerbaijan war lasted for 44 days, so perhaps we can do the same here. So what happened in the last 24 hours? Any substantial changes? I would say not much, frankly. There are some movements in Lugansk district, near Severodonetsk and Popasny and Lysychansk. They are attacking, we are defending and counterattacking. There was no movement near Izum. Sorry to interrupt you. So, Russian Minister of Defense saying that Izum is taken. Yeah, that's bullshit. For 2 days they've been claiming that Izum. Yeah, right, they did. It's important for us to realize if it's not so, they're lying. Yeah, they're lying. And the usual, they're lying. What else interesting is happening? What else interesting is happening? In the south, there is some bustle, and some people say our forces attack, others say they're advancing. Similar situation around Kyiv, minor tactical move. Mariupol, yes, there's street fighting there. We're still holding it though. Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation officially claimed yesterday that the goals of their campaign are complete of the first stage, and now they're focusing their effort on the eastern front, eastern side of it, and they've never wanted to occupy any cities. Now let's look at it from the higher perspective. What is happening with their plans and their situation on the battlefield? That we do remember their official goals initially, that those really are not happening. So they have to become real modest, real fast, and perhaps try to stay within the borders of those two rogue regions, Lugansk and Donetsk. And they were talking about denazification, demilitarization, advancing all the way to Lvov, almost to the border with Poland and beyond. And all of a sudden, the troops under Kyiv, under Chernihiv, near Kharkov, Sumy, Kherson, and now they're already saying that we never wanted, we never intended to capture them. So I suspect that all this trash was actually valued properly, and people who took initiative and responsibility for this operation, they don't know where to hide now. So as a result of all the tugging back and forth in Kremlin, they came up with a statement that we never wanted to capture anything, and it will probably result in them moving troops from under Kyiv, Kharkov, Sumy over to the eastern front, and they'll try to concentrate their efforts there for the week or two, because they're really lagging behind in terms of collecting more people, conscribing more recruits and equipment. They tried to pull more resources from some detachments near Moscow, and they failed to. Also, same situation with Army number 5. It's, as we mentioned, it's still a version. Their headquarters are in Ussurisk in the far east of Russia. That is the army that's supposed to guard the eastern side of Russia. So they're starting to use some forces from this army, and what they find out, the situation is so dire that some of the commanding positions are being staffed with people without proper military education. So it's really bad with reserves there. And when they figured that out, that was the intrigue of the last 10 days, they were waiting for reserves to show up. They kind of reminded me the Germans in 1945 when Hitler was waiting for General Wenck to come and rescue the capital. And they were waiting for the Fifth Army, and it will not come, and it will not save anything. Of course, they will find some, maybe 5 detachments, but they'll be basically lubricant for the Ukrainian war machine in these conditions. Imagine how difficult was the political fight over that. You've been in Moscow before. You've been a deputy. You know some internal affairs, how it happens. So perhaps you can gauge how much had to happen there in order to come out to the world and say, no, we have not planned anything, and all we need is really to achieve these 2 subpar goals on the DNR and LNR regions. Yeah, I think somebody was probably seriously punished in the system. Perhaps, yeah, there were some victims of this process. I actually heard that Shoigu, the head of Russian army, had a heart attack recently. But how do you check it? It's hard to check it right now. Perhaps later. But these rumors do not show up without any base. So people do understand that the situation is hanging in the air, and I can only imagine the things that have changed there, the things that happened. And now the Moscow command probably understood that they need to become much more modest. So if they lift the troops from the whole north to the positions where they can do at least something, I would not be surprised. How will they be moving them? They'll probably be moving them through the territory of Russia. And how much time will it take? Or, they could maybe move them right near the border. Maybe a week, maybe a little over a week. Do all of them have to move? If they leave any troops around Kyiv, our army will destroy the remnants of it. They cannot completely leave Kyiv. Their consciousness, military consciousness, a very specific thing, will not let them do that. I'm trying to remember who, I think it was Saltykov-Shchedrin, the author, who wrote that a military man has 2 consciousness, his own and military. So that's the military part. They cannot completely just lift up and go. So how? Why did they then, if you leave, why did you leave all the dead bodies under Kyiv to just lift up and go? What is most interesting that they don't seem to understand yet, that if they move all the troops from the northern parts to the new battlefields, we'll follow them there and fight them there. If they leave part, we'll defeat that part here and then follow them to the new battleground. So whichever they choose is a defeat. Now, to the good part. Right now we need to state that. How many times did I say here that there'll be a time when a strategic defeat will convert into operational defeat? And what's happening now is a strategic defeat conversion into an operational defeat. Moreover, acknowledged by the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation. They have refused from they forfeited 4/5 of their plans, and they're transferring their attention to just 2 of them. And it's basically a catastrophe for them. And it's not just me and you discussing that catastrophe, it's really officially acknowledged by the Ministry of Defense. And the next step will really be an operational catastrophe. So we can say that right now the war actually transferred to the new phase. Around 4th of March, one could state that the war, that Russians suffered strategic defeat when they basically acknowledged they cannot accomplish their current goals, and they really do not have resources to fulfill that. But today is what, 25th? 26th? So future historians, take note. On the 25th, 26th of March, Russian Minister of Defense acknowledged the operational defeat in Ukraine. That phase came a bit faster than I predicted. I thought they'll probably have a couple more weeks before that happens. Americans also were gauging the situation, and you could hear similar analysis from their experts as well. So, where am I going to? Especially for civilians, I wanted to explain. Operational defeat is not when everybody just raised hands and ran. It's just when you had plans and you could not fulfill them. So for business and operational defeat, you have a business plan, you're supposed to earn $1 million in a couple of months, and instead you earned 250 and you have 300 debt. Nobody is putting you in jail yet, but you already understand that you lost. So you come to your people and say, you and you are fired, we're selling furniture, we're going to another office, you and you still stay, but we'll actually see how it goes. So that's what happened. It will be growing and will become more obvious for more people involved. So right now they have a few tasks left. They'll try to finish Mariupol and to get our group near Donbass, near DNR and LNR, and maybe hold the south near Kherson, because that's their support. If that fails, they really lose. And all that, Kharkov, Nikolaev, Odessa, nobody's going there. And that's officially acknowledged. So, are there any indicators? Are there indicators that this thing is happening already? A couple more signs. I do have them for you. Commander of the 6th Army, taken off. Commander of the 1st Army is taken off. That one is an elite detachment, Kantemirovsky division. And these commanders actually had experience. They at least, did some training. To be a commander of the army is not just, you cannot go to a shop and buy one. That's a person who's been trained for tens of years to take that position. So if that person is removed, you'll need to find somebody who can replace him, and it probably will be a bureaucrat, and he'll be changing orders and things. So that's basically signs of catastrophe. Operational catastrophe, the way I see that. Could it also happen that some people are saying that, speaking of reserves, that they're pulling troops from the zone of conflict, the so-called Russian peacekeepers from Nagorno-Karabakh in Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict area, that they're taking off some people from southern Ossetia? Abkhazia is empty. There are no Russian detachments there. The base in Gyumri is empty. They took everybody. They scraped everybody. In Armenia, that second Gyumri base is empty. We actually found a few Armenian passports. So I'm thinking it's probably some of the Russians who had dual citizenship. I don't think that's Armenian army, Armenian people. I think it's some of the Armenian ethnic people who served in the Russian army. But the fact itself that we found their documents that, that's where they are. They're fighting here. So they scraped the bottom. They still cannot achieve anything. Can that change of their tactic or tactical defeat No, not tactical, operational defeat, I'm sorry. Tactical is still to come. Can the refusal from, can the impossibility of involving Belarus army into the military theater be part of that defeat? Yeah, that is a huge defeat. And Belarusian army, I'm really thankful that people there did hold their army from joining the conflict, because if they joined, they would take more our troops near Kyiv. So their lack of that army near Kyiv actually gives us more opportunities to move our army. I don't know how Lukashenko jumped off the Putin's hook. Well, he is an interesting individual. He can probably give Putin the real information that basically he's facing. If he sends them to Ukraine, he'll probably get his army who will jump ship and start fighting for the Ukrainian side. So that could have been a catastrophe. So that's defeat after defeat for Russian army, and here comes the correction. So it's good to hear to some smart people. I wish they listened to our podcast early and our discussions early on, because when you come with huge, crazy ideas of denazification, demilitarization of the whole country, you better have something to support it with. So they can still maneuver, and they can play that they have done that on purpose, that it's operational ideas, that's our plan, and we... Yeah, right, a special idea that they've lost 16,000 people for that they could not engage Belarus army. There is nobody from other friendly countries like Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and now they're pulling the last resources from the last army that was intact. They took all the peacekeepers from all the zones, or all the hot zones they have. That is quite a catastrophe. So they lost a couple commanders, they took off a couple others from their positions. That is a big defeat. People are asking about the situation in Chernigov also, in that part. What are the perspectives? If they'll be moving troops? Are they supposed to leave the occupied towns? They have never fully taken Chernigov. They came to Slavutich. We saw some new troops with new tactical insignia. And when they entered the Slavutich today, there was a huge uproar. Local citizens just got out with flags and in mass. They even had to shoot in the air. They took their mayor back from the Russian troops. They basically kicked them out with bare hands. The guys even started shooting, and I think wounded one. Even if in these small towns people are fighting back without weapons and taking back the power. So here, these new troops that came, they'll try to keep the situation, to hold it. The old troops, they'll be taken out and they'll try to refit them before throwing anything back. But these new detachments that showed up, that's not an enviable position. There was also a missile strike near Lvov. It fell somewhere in the suburbs. I'm not going to define what it hit or where it fell. I don't want to correct their fire, but let's say it fell near Lvov. We have our own drawbacks. I wanted to record a separate video about that, but I'll say now that on the second or third week of war, some commanders were bright enough to leave soldiers sleep in the usual quarters, basically painting a huge target on them. I'll talk about that after the war more, but during the war you do not sleep in these locations. It was a second or third week of war, of course, it's a risk. So at least go to the basement. But yeah, you cannot sleep in barracks during war, right? Yeah, it was a third week of war, but you know, it's inertia. Let's go sleep in the barracks, nothing's going to happen. Yeah, then the missile flies in and mixes everything with bricks and mortar. If you go into sleep in a barrack, tomorrow your boots will be sent to your mama. That's probably going to be everything that is left of the 114,000 people watching us live. We have a few more minutes to 25. What about peace talks? Did anything change? Maybe Mikhail Podolyak said anything? Are they continuing? Oh yeah, they're continuing. Of course, they're keep going and going. They're just basically filing, doing the fine-tune touch. We already have defined the areas that we want, they want. The heads of ministries of foreign affairs supposed to meet eventually, but you know, Russian side is really pacing it. They also are in a new phase of diplomatic negotiations where they become actually closer to reality. Thing is, this negotiation is still slacking behind, so our conditions on the battlefield have changed, but they're still somewhat behind in the negotiations. So they became more modest in the Ministry of Defense. We're waiting for the same thing to happen with the foreign ministers. So about the Biden's visit, how can we gauge that? Do you know how our president Zelensky is gauging that? Oh, the president will state his opinion. Yeah, I understand. I'm curious about your opinion. We'll see. The main thing that happened today was the meeting 2 by 2. The Minister of Foreign Affairs with the Minister of Defense, and there was a meeting with Biden. There will be some changes, otherwise there's really no reason to meet, to say that nothing's going to happen. That means that something will be given to us to use in this conflict. We don't know what and when, and of course, time frame also matters. So, okay, I get you. Do you think Ukraine is closer to solving the question of some peacekeepers or no-fly zone or anything? No, I think it's mostly about weapons. What's characteristic is that foreign interviewers, foreign journalists, which I give these interviews several a day, they start talking a lot about weapons supply. That has changed. Before that, when we said, hey, we need weapons, they were smirking and saying, no, you know, we cannot really do that. You probably should not be expecting it. Now they're actually changing tune and they're talking about what's coming, when, what kind of support are we getting. So the wind has changed. It means things are changing. And if when these gates open, there'll be a lot more to discuss, and it'll be a different stage of story. All right, we have 25th minute, 120,000 people watching, and we're meeting tomorrow, right? Yes, same day. Is it the same room where you do the briefings, the daily briefings? Yeah, it's the same room. Well, when you see the president, say hi for us. Will do. Thank you everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
Да, всего доброго. Всем пока, ребята. Увидимся завтра.